Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now here on a Thursday. We're going to jump into the latest Eagles news and rumors in just 1 second. First, though, rate my setup. What do you guys think of the new camera setup here? We've turned some things around here in the home office. Put a Devontae Smith picture up above me, which you may or may not be able to see based on how I'm framing this video right here. But if you guys like the new setup, like the new camera angle, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And make sure you guys are subscribed as well, because we have a mailbag video coming up later on, I think either tomorrow or Saturday. Either way, plenty of great content coming up here on the channel, so be sure to subscribe. But for now, sit back and enjoy the show. All right, so it's a Thursday, naturally, and that means there's a brand new Eagles quarterback trade rumor that's popped out, this time via Albert Breer and the Monday Morning Quarterback. Yes, we're going to talk about trading for Russell Wilson yet again. Now, this is not my own doing. It's not my choice, right? You guys know my full-on thoughts on trading for a quarterback versus keeping Jalen Hurts. We'll discuss that more in a second, I guess, but we'll at least give you what Albert Breer had to say about Russell Wilson to Philadelphia. So first off, Albert Breer was answering one of his Monday Morning Quarterback mailbag article things. It's like kind of what we do here in the channel, but I guess in written form. And he was asked about Russell Wilson. He said, one, Russell Wilson will be moved. We'll show you that quote here in just a second. And he also said that it was once the Saints he thought where Russell would go. Now he's moved back to being Philadelphia as the final landing spot for the 30-plus-year-old superstar quarterback. Now, it all is kind of ironic, I guess, if you were to go ahead and trade for Russell Wilson, because the Eagles did have a chance to get Russell Wilson in the third round in 2022. Famously, remember Russell Wilson telling the Eagles in a pre-draft meeting, "Come get me, I'll win a Super Bowl for this city." And of course, the Seattle Seahawks were a couple of picks ahead of Philadelphia in 2012 and ended up taking Russ, so of course, what could have been. Now, here was Albert Breer's thoughts on Russell Wilson. We'll throw it up on your screen right now. Quote, "If I had to guess, I'd say he'd eventually get moved. And I have said the destination was going to be the Saints a month ago. Now that Sean Payton's gone, let's put him in the NFC East to the Eagles. In a way, it'd be sort of a redemption move for Howie Roseman, who was part of the front office that planned to take Wilson in the third round of 2012, only if Seattle scoop him up earlier in the round," end quote. So, kind of similar to what I just mentioned right there. Albert Breer saying it was going to be the Saints, Sean Payton is no longer there, and so it sent him off to Philadelphia in the NFC East. And of course, his reasoning is, and everybody else is, that Eagles have enough firepower in the draft to go ahead and trade for him. Now, let's take a second, and step away from this idea of should you trade for Russell Wilson, yay or nay, for Philadelphia, to the greater narrative that Russell Wilson is washed. I was listening to, who was it, on SportsCenter, or is it ESPN, or someone of the big name, broadcast companies out there. We're talking about how Russell Wilson is washed up, like he's a bad player. And if you actually look at the stats and look at his history the past couple of years, that's like far from being true at all. I mean, just this past season, 64.8% completion percentage, 3,113 yards, 25 TDs, 6 interceptions. It was in 14 games, where he missed multiple games with that, I think it was thumb or finger surgery, whatever it was. The idea that he's washed up in any way, to me, is absolutely preposterous. And including that, I mean, I say that includes the record, right? Go to the past 4 years of Russell Wilson's win-loss record. Yes, they struggled back in 2021, or this past season, in the 14 games that he played, as they went 6-8 with Russell Wilson in there. But then 2020, they were 12-4, and in 2019, they were 11-5, and in 2018, they were 10-6. I mean, this guy has a winning record almost every single year he's been in the National Football League, despite the fact that you can make the argument that the Seattle front office is a little bit, I would say bad, in my opinion. You make the case that Pete Carroll is a little bit old and washed, and yet Russell Wilson is still balling out. Like, again, go back to what he did in 2021. These are incredible numbers. He would have thrown for 4,000 yards, like, had he played all 17 games. I mean, that's basically a guarantee. Now, going 6-8 whenever he was in there is not necessarily great, and you can make the argument that, he's not helping his team win, or not putting his team in a position to win, but I would still argue the defense wasn't that great. I'd argue that the offensive line remains to be terrible. Like, you think DK and you think Tyler Lockett, but that's basically it on the Seattle Seahawks in terms of actual talent, throwing alongside Quadri Diggs and Bobby Wagner. Each of the last 4 years, too. 40 touchdowns, 31 touchdowns, 35 touchdowns, 34 touchdowns. The guy is still legit. He's still very, very good. And so regardless of what Philadelphia is going to do, as we'll talk about, I do think the idea that Russell Wilson is a washed player and Russell Wilson is no longer good is one of the dumbest takes you can see out there. Russell Wilson is a Pro Bowl superstar quarterback, and he will continue to be that for at least the next 4 or 5 years in his career, in my opinion. Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think Russell Wilson is washed? Like, are you blinded by what happened last year, even though he still had really great stats? Is he washed? I don't buy it. If he is, type Y down below for yes. If he is not, type N down below for no. Now, you come back to what matters in Philadelphia, and that is, what do you do with Jalen Hurts? And you guys know what I would do with Jalen Hurts. I like Jalen Hurts. I want Jalen Hurts to be the next quarterback of the Eagles, or at least continue to be the quarterback of the Eagles going forward in 2022 and beyond. You guys know that for a bevy of reasons. I believe in his ability to throw the football. I believe in his leadership, and I believe the fact that he has a young contract and a young player who can continue to progress are all good things for the Eagles. Is the accuracy an issue? Sure. But you're telling me that he can't progress anymore? That's where I kind of stop and go, I don't know what you're seeing, because I saw incredible progression from where he was year 1 in the 4 games he started to where he was last season, winning 9 games in Philadelphia and being very, very, I would say, cerebral and calm, and he's just a great quarterback for Philadelphia, in my opinion. Plus, as you guys know, I did a 3-round mock draft the other day here on the channel, and so if you traded for Russell Wilson, you would lose out on the 3 players that I went ahead and drafted, because you're giving up all 3 of those first-round draft picks. That means no Devin Lloyd. That means no David Ajabo. That means no Jermaine Johnson. Are you throwing Ahmad Gardner there? You're throwing Tyler Linderbaum. Like, all these guys that we want to have would be young studs on this team. You immediately just kind of discard that to the edge. And so I'd much rather have Jalen Hurts and 3 first-round draft picks than Russell Wilson. That's my own personal take, but don't take away from the fact that I still just said Russell Wilson is incredible, and I think he'll be a great quarterback wherever he goes. I still would say Denver or Pittsburgh are the 2 likely landing spots for him, but when Albert Breer mentions Philadelphia, that means I've mentioned Philadelphia because we are Philadelphia Eagles now here on YouTube. All right, add break pin comment down below. How many games would the Eagles win with Russ at quarterback in 2022? What do you think? I mean, I think they'd probably win 10 or 11, honestly, but can they win 9, 10, or 11 with Jalen Hurts? That's the question you got to ask yourself, because I think that they will. Give me your thoughts again. How many wins would the Eagles have with Russ at quarterback in 2022? All right, I'm scrolling through the internet the other day, and I found this Philly Voice article that lists 3 possible cheaper free agents for the Philadelphia Eagles going into the 2022 free agency period. And so I click on it, and I take a look, and there are names that I have not mentioned on the channel, hence why I want to mention them on the channel right now, because my job, I think, during the offseason is to get you familiar with cap space, get you familiar with draft picks and prospects, and of course free agency names. That way, if the Eagles sign somebody, you go, Thomas already talked about him, I know who he is, and I like him or I don't like him. So Philly Voice has 3 cheap free agents for the Eagles they can go ahead and get. Eagles, of course, are going to have a bunch of cap space in 2020. I mean, we're talking north of $20 million, right? It could be up to $30+ million, depending on some moves that they're going to make. And of course, factoring Brandon Brooks' contract, but it's plenty of money to sign whoever they possibly could want. And the needs, we said it a billion times: cornerback, linebacker, safety, DN, wide receiver. You can maybe say center if Kelce comes back or not. These are all options right now for Philadelphia. So let's go through this list here, starting with Terrell Edmunds, the safety out of Pittsburgh. This is the one I like the most out of the 3 that you're going to see on our list here, mainly because he's 25, he's a former first-round draft pick, and is a really great player, very athletic, great coverage skills, and he would plug in very, very well to what the Eagles currently have at the defensive back depth chart, which you might not have the 2 safeties you see up there. I mean, you might literally lose Rodney McLeod to free agency, and you might for sure lose Anthony Harris. I think one of those 2 is gone. Now, will both be gone? That's a question for another day, but Edmunds is a guy who, again, is 25, has never missed a game due to injury, and I think would be a really good young upgrade to what the Eagles are trying to do in the defensive backfield in terms of getting younger and getting better. I think the defense as a whole is getting younger and getting better. I like the idea of Edmunds. I've not talked about him on the channel yet, and so hence why we're doing it here right now. Now, if we're going to get into our running back that was listed by PhillyVoice.com, we are so close to 25K subs here on the channel. I remember when I got like 3K subs on the channel. That was like over, let's say, 2 years ago. I mean, we've been blowing up here recently, past couple of days. If you guys want to help us get to 25K, we're less than 200 away. Go down below and hit that subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it, as we have, I'm telling you, great content. This is our job. This is my job. Great content for you guys as Eagle fans going forward in the offseason. Okay. Next player on our list. How about D'Onta Foreman, the running back formerly from Texas, who was a Tennessee Titan this past year? Have you ever watched D'Onta Foreman play? He looks like a much smaller Derek Henry, but very much in the same mold and running style as Derek Henry. And they basically mentioned that Philadelphia needs kind of that beater, that biter, that banger in the backfield to replace possibly Jordan Howard, or of course get rid of Boston Scott. These are 2 guys that are potentially going to be gone in free agency, and so Foreman's name was thrown up there. I don't hate it. I just don't necessarily love it. I mean, I think Foreman's a good player. If I was Foreman, I'd stay in Tennessee and keep being Derrick Henry's backup, in my opinion, but that's just me. Also, fun fact, I called a D'Onta Foreman game when I was the Baylor play-by-play voice as a student back in college. I was at Texas calling the game, and Foreman was the lead back, so, kind of full circle about a couple years ago when I used to be in college. Finally, another player that I haven't mentioned but makes sense is Zach Pascal. Or Pascal, if you say his last name, the wide receiver from the Indianapolis Colts. Your connection here is Nick Sirianni. This is a guy who was like a walk-on with the Colts, and Sirianni, of course, being, on the offensive coaching staff, very much kind of molded him into the wide receiver that he is today. Not a ton of production, like 3 touchdowns this past season. I think he had like 400 yards, so not necessarily a big-name receiver who would make an instant impact, but definitely somebody that Sirianni might like, and so hence was named on the list. It's not a bad list. Again, these are cheaper guys, Edmunds, Foreman, and Pascal, but I don't know if any of them make a ton of sense besides Edmunds. I'm not a big Foreman guy, and again, Zach from the Colts to me would be kind of a cheaper, not as big name like a Mike Williams as I would like, but Pick a player from the list you guys want the Eagles to sign. If there is one, let me know down below right now in the comments section. I'll say Edmonds, but I'll wait and hear what you guys have to say, and I'll read all those comments as I always do. All right. Move over here quickly to our BetUS Super Bowl chance for you guys to go ahead and win some money betting on Super Bowl. What is it, 57? I don't even know what Super Bowl it is. Is it 57? I think it is 57. Maybe it's 56. I don't know. I'm sure the comments will correct me on this. The Roman numerals are difficult. Either way, you can bet the game with our friends at BetUS, chatsports.com/EaglesBet. That promo code is Eagles125. Get you a 125% deposit bonus, meaning you put $100 down, use our promo code, turns into $225, and then you can bet on the Rams and the Bengals. I'm going Bengals +4. I'm going to put a bunch of money on that. You guys can do the same with our friends at BetUS. You can bet the over-under. There are prop bets, a ton of different stuff. Put the link in the Google search bar above me, use our promo code Eagles125, and jump into betting on this game. All right, let's move into some rapid-fire news here really quickly. Let's start with the Jason Kelce quote. He was on a local 94.1, I think it was the afternoon show, maybe it was the midday show. Either way, Kelce was asked about retiring. Here's what he said, quote, "I'm in the midst of thinking about that right now. I try and let the emotions fade away from the season. It was an emotional year. We started off so rough, finished really strong, and obviously the playoff game went really poorly. I think the biggest thing for me right now is step away and let that calm down. Let that calm down. Right after the game, I was like, is this really going to be my last game in the NFL? Unless you win the Super Bowl, they're all going to end on a bad note. But that side of me really wants to keep playing. There's no question about that," end quote. And so this to me says that he's going to come back. And it doesn't guarantee that he's going to come back, but I do think that there's a very good chance that Kelce does come back. But it is worth noting, Philadelphia will be fine if he does not, because you have Landon Dickerson there. You can draft Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, they're one of the most depth offensive line units in the National Football League. And so if he doesn't come back, which I hope he does, and we need him to come back, they will still be okay because Dickerson can play the center, or you can draft a center to replace him. Final bit of news here quickly. Ahmad Gardner has been blowing up over the past couple of weeks. Sauce Gardner, the Cincinnati cornerback that a lot of you guys wished was on my mock draft from a couple of days ago. I was going to draft him, but he was taken inside the top 10, so I couldn't do it, right? Sorry, that's how mock draft simulations work. Either way, Gardner had a great time at the Senior Bowl. I mean, the guy is an absolute beast and very much could be the first cornerback taken. And ESPN's Todd McShay actually put out a quote that I think is very revealing about how much Gardner is rising up draft boards when comparing him to Derek Stingley, considered the top cornerback coming out of LSU just a couple of really days ago. Quote, "LSU cornerback Derek Stingley wasn't in Mobile this week. He's a junior, but NFL teams were still discussing him. Many just aren't sure what to make of his evaluation. Do you bet on his big 6-interception 2019 season, or do you focus on the dip in performance, injury woes, and less hunger against the run in 2020, 2021? Either way, that strong consensus is that Ahmad Sauce Gardner is a top cornerback in the class right now," end quote. So, the point I'm saying this is that as you look at the Eagles' defensive back depth chart, don't just sit back and say, oh, it's for sure going to be Gardner, like they're going to get him at 15 or 16 or 19. He might not be there. He might be taken a lot earlier, and therefore Derek Stingley might fall, and you could take Stingley there as well. Either way, no issue with taking cornerback in round 1, as long as you get a pass rusher and a linebacker to boot. That way you get all 3 levels of the defense, I guess, added with a young, nice talent. That could be a very good thing for Philadelphia going forward. I know you guys like Sauce Gardner, so drop a like down below if you guys are a big fan of Ahmad. I think he's fantastic. I would love him in Eagles green. Him and Darius Slay would make for a killer 1-2 punch. The best Eagles have had in a very, very long time. If you guys like this video, that means you're telling me you like a Sauce Gardner. I think a lot of you guys will go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. All right, ultimate today on a little bit longer of an Eagles news and rumor video. Plenty of content to get into. Mailbag video coming up later on this week, so be a subscriber. That's the only way to be a part of our mailbag video and get your question asked and then hopefully answered here on the channel. Go down below and hit that red subscribe button. And of course, if you didn't get your question in, do it quickly. I'm compiling them as we speak. Hashtag Eagles in the comments section as well. For Fit of Eagles now, Thomas Mott signing off for the rest of your day.